I can assure you that I certainly did not know anything about the IG report before the IG report had been leaked through press.
I would ask the CIA. I was not the person who was involved in that decision.
So who was? Where exactly does the buck stop? Who knew that the IRS was targeting conservative groups that were trying to get tax-exempt status? Who's really responsible for revising the talking points on Benghazi that led the American public to believe something that turned out to not be true? And why did the Department of Justice secretly obtain Associated Press phone records? Jennifer Palmieri is the White House Director of Communications and joins us tonight. Jennifer, thank you very much for taking the time. When you hear those sound bites, it does sound like a lot of blaming other people.
The president is the chief executive of the government and understands that it doesn't matter how these problems arose. It's his problem. It's his responsibility and his problem to fix them. And in each of these, in each of the controversies, if you will, that have arisen this week from the Inspector General's report on the IRS to the emails around Benghazi and to the court case that you mentioned involving the subpoena of AP, he's taken steps in each of those cases to deal with the actual underlying substantive problem there, perhaps less on focus on the politics.
And let me ask you, though, because it seems like when all this became public, then action is being taken. Let's take the IRS scandal. The agency, of course, as we now all know, was targeting conservative groups. The president said he learned about it on Friday from press reports. You heard him there saying he didn't know about the Inspector General report prior to that. Jay Carney, though, has said earlier this week that the White House counsel's office was alerted several weeks ago. So people at the White House knew about a scandal that the president has called outrageous, but nobody told the president?
So the Inspector General process that conducts these investigations within the government, and particularly in agencies like IRS, that was created so that an investigation can go on without any sort of politics interfering in it, and that it could happen outside of the political process, and that an career investigator can come in, look at a problem, and make his own judgments, and then put that report out there and their recommendations, let them see it. The worst possible, the White House counsel's office will be alerted to know that such a report may be coming. There are hundreds of them that are done probably each month within the government. But the worst possible thing that we could have done is to involve ourselves at that point in an independent investigation of the IRS. So we knew the best thing for us to do is to let the investigator do their job, come public with their report and their recommendations, and we've picked it up and taken it from there. And Secretary Lew and the president have taken some pretty strong steps since then. But when these controversies arise, I'm a communications professional. Your first instinct is to want to deal with them right away and to answer all the questions right away. But what you can't do is take any action that's going to make the situation worse.
Right, but
so
Jennifer,
you need to wait and know effects, particularly when you are the President of the United States or speaking for the President of the United States.
Right, but you just said there were hundreds of these, right? But obviously there's hundreds, and none of them almost get to the status of this one. This one, in the Inspector General report, one of the key sentences, the IRS used inappropriate criteria that identified for review Tea Party organizations applying for tax-exempt status. That sentence alone, you're saying that would get leaked to the press, and the press would be aware before the President of the United States, and the IRS reports to him.
That is not that's not a situation that we welcome or are happy with. The fact that someone, it's obviously unclear who, but made the report available to the press before they made it available officially made it available to Capitol Hill and made it available to us. So that made it more difficult to deal with the press around this, but it didn't make it more difficult to deal with the substance, which is